Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video review, we take a look at the Amazon Kindle Scribe. This is Amazon's biggest Kindle by far, and it comes with a pen that you can use to write on the screen as well. This is the biggest Kindle that Amazon has made to date. The Scribe, as its name implies, is more about, well, it's less about just reading and more about also just creating your own content as well. And we're going to get to that in a second. You're noticing that I'm holding the pen. We're going to talk about that as well. But I got to talk about the size of the device because it's so different from the previous Kindles that have come out. The Oasis was the previous model that I would say was probably the biggest. This is altogether different. There's a 10.2-inch e-ink display that's far bigger than anything else in the Kindle lineup. And it makes for a very different type of reading experience. So even if you're not looking to do much with the pen, if you were looking for a big e-reader, they don't get much bigger than this. For me, this was an adjustment. Having gone from a Kindle Oasis, I have the Paperwhite, I've had the original model, well, not the original, the regular Kindle. Again, smaller screen sizes, regular. I mean, just standard screen sizes for e-readers, and they're fine. I have no problem with them. They work well. They're easy to travel with. This felt like, it was like I was holding a hardcover in a sense. Obviously it's not the same thickness, but it's just the size of it, right? So the size of holding this made for a reading experience that was totally different in the sense that where I'm used to holding a Kindle in one hand, this thing was a little different. I felt some fatigue after some time holding in one hand, so I felt like it was more like a two-handed experience, even if you take the pen away completely. I didn't mind the extra screen real estate, and I don't think you would either, especially if you're looking for it. So if you're looking for all that extra space, that means a lot more text that you can squeeze in, or if you prefer larger text, you're also gonna see more of that on the screen too. The only thing I think when it comes to the size is that obviously when you're introducing a larger screen, you're introducing more weight and to some extent a little more thickness, but that's not really the case as far as the thickness goes. The weight for sure, this is going to be the heaviest Kindle that you'll use, but I didn't, and especially if you add a cover to it, like a case, like a folio case, it'll add to it, but at the same time, I wish that Amazon had included some way to maybe sort of prop this up, as opposed to just buying case, but it is what it is. If you do want to prop this up and have a hands-free experience, you're going to have to get a case for it. Now about the pen. So this pen or stylus it comes in two versions, and just to avoid any confusion, the Scribe itself comes in two different versions. So there is the basic and the premium. That refers to the pen, that refers to the stylus primarily. I have the premium one here, which has an eraser here at the end that works naturally, and a button on the side that also switches between, like, you want a pen to a highlighter, things like that. Note that when you do press the button to switch modes, that only works in notebooks, not when you're actually trying to write something or a note onto a book that you're reading. So I'll explain that in a second too, about how that works, because there are some caveats there. The basic pen does not have those two things. So there's no eraser at the end, and it's also missing the button. It's also a little shorter as well. But other than that, they have the same functionality. So they're going to have the same response time. They're going to be just as responsive with each other, no matter which one you're using. It's the same Kindle Scribe as well, so the device itself is the same regardless of which pen that you have. There will be different versions as far as storage space, so 16, 32, or 64, but other than that, as far as the internals go, they're pretty much the same. I mentioned that when it comes to writing that there are caveats, and there are. So when you are reading a book, you cannot just write anywhere you want on the book, right? So you're reading an ebook, you can't just write anywhere and just annotate and just throw in notes and jot down notes as you're reading. It doesn't work that way. This is more of a complement, I guess, to the way the Kindle already works when it comes to reading. What I mean by that is, if you want to highlight a passage, you can certainly do that with the stylus, and then at that point, it gives you the option to write down a note associated with that passage. This is a little different than what you would expect, where you might feel like, okay, I can underline something and then sort of like, I don't know, just jot down a note on the margins. It's not, you can't do that in this case. This is, to me, I found this a bit of an adjustment. I realize, or at least I think I realize, what Amazon is trying to do here is trying to kind of keep things clean, but at the same time also not have people get lost in their notes, especially if they're writing the margins where space is limited. You have a lot more space to write what you want. Certainly your penmanship, I'm sure, will be better than mine when it comes to that. But in any case, That is the purpose, at least as far as I can tell. Now, there is one exception. If you do upload PDF documents, you can write on those in ways that you can't on regular ebooks. And by the way, that goes for all ebooks. So even if you upload an EPUB document or an EPUB book, you can't write on that, even if it didn't come from the Kindle store. So PDFs will be fine, but again, you may also notice that there are certain limitations there too. This is not a total freehand stylus when it comes to the content that's already on the device. It is when it comes to the content that you're creating. So if you're creating a notebook and you're just jotting down whatever it is, notes or whatever it is that you want, that you jot down, whatever it is that works for you when it comes to pen to paper or stylus to screen, there are a number of templates to choose from. So you can go from blank paper to lined paper to dotted paper. There's all kinds of different types on there that you can use. Whether or not this is made for artists, I would argue it's not. The response time is excellent from the stylus to the screen. It's fantastic. So I didn't feel any issue there. I'm not an illustrator personally, so I can't totally speak to this from an authoritative point of view, but what I would say is that it just doesn't feel like it's something that you would use for drawing. Like if you were an illustrator and you wanted a device to draw on a regular basis, I don't know that this is it. I feel like you might get something else, like a boogie board, a Wacom tablet, or maybe an iPad, something totally different, because obviously you're not going to get color here either. So if you're looking to paint or to draw in color, you're not going to be able to do that naturally when it comes to this device. So you may appreciate some of the, I think, the way, the responsiveness, just the way it all feels, but I think the drawing or the illustration comes as sort of secondary to everything else that the Kindle Scribe offers you. There's no holster for the stylus. Instead, it sticks on through a magnet onto the right side of the device, as you can see here. It's pretty sturdy too. I came away pretty impressed with how well it stayed in place. Even when I put it in my backpack, it just kind of stayed in there. You do have look, the chances are that you might lose it if you're not careful, because it can, like with contact, see? It can, with contact, come right off. So it's good, it's sturdy, but it's not necessarily going to be like a super durable connection where you can just kind of take it and carry it around and not be worried about it. You do have to kind of keep an eye on this thing. Now, as for battery, Amazon claims that it can last for up to 3 months or 3 weeks, depending on how much you're reading and how much you're writing. I would say you're more than likely going to find yourself somewhere in the middle, unless you're writing on this all the time, every day. At that point, that'll whittle it down even to less than 3 weeks. So the 3 months is based on about a half an hour of reading every day for 3 months, whereas the 3 weeks is based on a half an hour of writing every day. So as you can see, the stylus, all that input does take its toll on the battery, but still, 3 weeks is pretty good. In any case, and if you can last longer than that, if you can even get to 2 months on a device this size, that is pretty good to me as well. The brightness of the screen plays a role in that too. Of course, you have the option here of you can go brighter, you can go darker. You have the warmer tones as well, which are very nice for the eyes, and darker settings. And you have dark mode too, if it's really dark and you want to really go easy in the eyes, like I did on a recent flight, where it was just great. They had darkened the lights and everything. I went to dark mode and it was perfect. No strain on the eyes at all. So ultimately, this device to me it's expensive, and I feel like you're either buying this because you want an oversized Kindle, you want a device that has a really big screen that you can read on, or you like the idea of having the stylus as well. If you're on the fence about this, I would look at maybe a Kindle Oasis, or at the very least, go for maybe the basic pen if you don't plan on using this. The premium pen, I think, is only worth it if you plan to use it. Otherwise, go with the basic, and that way you still have you pretty much have the same device, you just have a different pen. So at that point, you're getting what you feel you need when it comes to, well, what you want the Scribe to do for you. And that's my review of the new Amazon Kindle Scribe with the premium pen. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.